Chapter 12 of Wuthering Heights plunges us into a storm of Catherine's unraveling psyche, Edgar's helplessness, and the shocking consequences of Heathcliff's manipulation. Let's break it all down. Nellie goes about her household chores and ignores Isabella's sulking in the garden, Edgar's retreat into solitude, and Catherine's stubborn refusal to eat. After 3 days of isolation, Catherine finally opens her door and asks for water and some gruel. She also dramatically declares that she is dying. But Nellie dismisses her theatrics. Nellie suspects that Catherine is just trying to elicit Edgar's sympathy. Catherine gazes at her reflection in the mirror, startled by her gaunt appearance, and bitterly laments that Edgar treats her like a pet, indifferent to her suffering. Desperate for attention, she implores Nellie to smash that like button if you are finding this video helpful. Thank you so much. Actually, Catherine wants Nellie to tell Edgar that she is afraid she truly is dying. Catherine, tormented by the belief that everyone has abandoned her, becomes feverish and erratic, tearing at her pillow with her teeth and insisting Nellie to open the window and let the winter air in. Observing Catherine's erratic behavior, Nellie is reminded of how Catherine spiraled into a similar frenzy after Heathcliff's disappearance in Chapter 9, and recalls the doctor's warning to avoid angering Catherine and to humor her requests. Catherine begins feverishly pulling feathers from the pillow and sorting them by bird species. Her mind drifts back to a childhood memory of finding a lapwing's nest with Heathcliff. The lapwing, a restless, untamed bird, becomes a poignant symbol of Catherine's deep bond with the wild moors and her truest self. This fleeting moment of connection to nature underscores her longing for freedom, a stark contrast to her current state of physical confinement and emotional turmoil. The imagery of the lapwing highlights Catherine's sense of entrapment, as her restless spirit remains caged by societal expectations and domestic life. Suddenly, Catherine's attention snaps to what she claims is a face in the black press on the wall. Nellie tries to reassure her that it's only her own reflection in the mirror, but Catherine's confusion and fear grow. To ease her distress, Nellie drapes a shawl over the mirror, but when it slips, Catherine lets out a piercing scream. Catherine shudders and says, "Oh dear, I thought I was at home. I thought I was lying in my chamber at Wuthering Heights. Because I'm weak, my brain got confused, and I screamed unconsciously. Don't say anything, but stay with me. I dread sleeping. My dreams appall me." Her plea to Nellie is heartbreaking as she begs for comfort in the face of her unraveling mind. Desperate for solace, Catherine begs to feel the wind from the moors. Though it's the dead of winter, Nellie opens the window briefly, letting the cold air rush in. A fleeting moment of connection to the untamed world Catherine yearns for, even as her strength wanes. Catherine says in her delirium she thought she was back in the oak-paneled bed at Wuthering Heights, the one that Lockwood encountered in Chapter 3. Catherine remembers the grief she felt when Hindley ordered her separation from Heathcliff. Catherine desires to be herself again and says, "Oh, I'm burning. I wish I were out of doors. I wish I were a girl again, half savage and hardy, and free." When Nellie refuses to open the window again, Catherine's desperation boils over. She rushes to the window, flinging it open and leaning dangerously far outside. Nellie panics and wrestles her back inside, but Catherine's gaze remains fixed on the horizon. Though the lights of Wuthering Heights are never visible from Thrushcross Grange, Catherine insists that she can see them. She begins to reminisce about her wild childhood adventures with Heathcliff, recalling how they would dare each other to stand in the church graveyard and summon ghosts. Catherine says, "But Heathcliff, if I dare you now, will you venture? If you do, I'll keep you. I'll not lie there by myself. They may bury me 12 feet deep and throw the church down over me, but I won't rest till you are with me. I never will. As Edgar passes by and overhears Catherine and Nellie talking, he steps into the room, only to be struck speechless by Catherine's shocking physical state. His distress quickly turns to frustration as he scolds Nellie for keeping Catherine's condition hidden from him. Catherine, now aware of Edgar's presence, responds with a bitter edge, declaring it's too late for him to help, and cryptically hinting that she won't live till spring. With a mixture of resignation and anger, she dismisses Edgar, telling him to return to his books. Determined to act, Nellie leaves to fetch Dr. Kenneth. As she passes through the garden, she notices something white fluttering in the air. To her horror, she discovers Isabella's dog, Fanny, hanging by a handkerchief and barely alive. Nellie frees the poor creature, but her relief is short-lived as she hears the distant gallop of a horse. A strange sound at 2 a.m. Still, she brushes it off, her focus remaining on Catherine. When Nellie finally brings Dr. Kenneth back to Thrushcross Grange, he shares startling news. He heard that Isabella and Heathcliff had spent 2 hours together the previous evening, and Heathcliff had tried to convince Isabella to ride away with him. Alarmed, Nellie rushes to Isabella's room, only to find it empty. She decides to keep this discovery to herself, as Edgar is consumed by Catherine's fragile and delirious state. Dr. Kenneth examines Catherine and cautiously suggests that recovery might be possible, but only if everyone maintains absolute calm and stability around her. That night, both Edgar and Nellie remain sleepless, consumed by worry. The following morning, the shocking truth emerges. A young maid informs everyone that Isabella has indeed run off with Heathcliff, and the entire town is abuzz with gossip. When Nellie asks Edgar whether they should attempt to track the pair down, Edgar says no. Isabella went on her own free will. The last thing he ever says about Isabella's elopement with Heathcliff is, "Hereafter she is only my sister in name, not because I disown her, but because she has disowned me." Chapter 12 leaves us with so much to think about. What do you think about Catherine's actions in this chapter? Are her outbursts justified, or is she just her own worst enemy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please hit the like button so that others can find this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.